Hey guys, what's up? We're back. You thought we were gonna quit. Just fucking forget about it because we're not going anywhere. I'm here. You know me. I'm here with my boy Andre.
Yo.
Shout out to Ayo. And we're here to talk about being proud of who you are, your story, your identity. And we want you guys to embrace it. We want you guys to know that the you don't know the future. The past doesn't determine who you are. All it is the present. So let's just jump right into it. Um, Andre, if you want to take them through a bit of your story, like how did we meet? Where did this start? A little bit of your story before we met, and take it from there, dude.
Sounds good. I mean, yeah, I consider myself a immigrant and was born in the Ukraine, moved to Germany when I was fairly young, and then me and my family started making our way to Canada. So, going from a bit of a more of a humble background, I would say we were middle class, but still had the struggles here and there. And I think a lot of people have that sort of family, right? I mean, you get by, but you're unable to buy anything you want. But now that I live on my own, meeting Joe in Prince George, and if you guys don't know where that is, it is a northern town in British Columbia, Canada. British Columbia is probably one of the nicest territories in Canada that you will ever see, so I would definitely
Province.
recommend checking out British Columbia. But yeah, meeting up with Joe and spending a lot of my college years with him, shooting the shit, playing soccer, working out together, and yeah.
Smoking a ton. Smoking a fucking ton, you guys. Like, I hate to admit it, but we smoked a ton. Like, holy shit, did we waste? Like, I guess some it wasn't a waste, some of it, but we smoked a lot of weed, like a ridiculous amount of weed, just to be honest with you guys. Sorry, Andre, but you can't leave that out. That was like one of our biggest things. We go smoke, you guys, and then we go play soccer for fucking like 6 hours. Like, see you later. We're gone.
I mean, we did do a lot of beneficial things when we were so we weren't just sitting there. We've done that too here and there, but most of our days were getting actual stuff done. We were playing soccer, we were working out. We were definitely quite active. So
True.
not that much of a time waste, but still, definitely not very productive in the ways of getting to your goals that we're at now.
But anyway, so you're at college. What were you taking when we first met?
Oh man, I started off with a year of just random courses, trying to find myself.
UT.
Sorry?
UT, right? University transfer courses, like upgrades?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I mean, I was taking human kinetics because I still am into like fitness, working out, and nutrition. I took a criminology course, I took a philosophy course. My passion was IT. I really liked the technology field, so taking a lot of courses in there, but basically going a lot into debt and not realizing what I wanted to do. And I feel like a lot of people do that actually. How about you?
Yeah, so grew up in Prince George, born and raised, had some really young parents, so similar to Andre, like you didn't get a lot of like per se treats. You got what you needed, and which was absolutely fantastic. And I really do appreciate what my parents have given me, like because it really helped mold me into the person that I am, like needs instead of wants, right? And grew up, born and raised in Prince George my whole life. Spent a lot of time in the forest, hanging out with my cousins and so on until high school. And high school rolled around, and I don't know. I think it was like 16 or something, or maybe 15, and I really found this deep-seated love for soccer. And my mom played some soccer, and my dad played some baseball and hockey, and they're both really into the athletics, and I'd really taken to that. So I started doing that a ton, and I've always loved art and being creative. So I started, making a lot of paintings and kind of doing that. And I had really excelled in a carpentry course. And then after high school, I was kind of like ushered by my parents because that was the course that I had excelled in to take carpentry. And it was really nothing like what I had actually done at school. At school, I had made this beautiful, at least I think it's beautiful, but this floating table so the legs don't touch the tabletop, and it looks as though it's just ominously floating. I thought it was fantastic. And then I got to take carpentry, and I ended up doing a lot of house framing and a lot of like, drywall and odds and sods and just all sorts of stuff. And I was just like doing roofing and scaffolding. And I was like, wow, this is just not for me. And then what was it, Andre? You were there for 3 years, right?
Yeah, actually, 1 year of electives, another year. Yeah, 3 years.
So my first year, yeah, I did the carpentry. Andre did electives. My second year, I actually did kinesiology and got a diploma. And then after that, I took a year. And then after that, I went back and um, I think it was 2 years actually. And then I took an arts certificate and I got an arts certificate. And I started to realize, kind of like what Andre said, is that this school, to some extent, has just become a business. And I realized that like some of my professors weren't actually artists. Like most of my, there was one of my professors or two of my professors who were really artists. The rest were just individuals who had kind of enjoyed art and decided that teaching it would be the most appropriate thing. But they'd never had a solo show. They'd never like gone out and really sold their pieces or actually kind of went into that niche.
So
And
basically,
then I
what?
guess,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
go on.
No, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so then I guess after that I kind of did that for just over a year now, almost 2 years. And then that takes us pretty much up to where Andre and I are now. And I had kind of said to him, like, dude, let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. I was harassing him, and it kind of came to fruition. And now we're trying a multitude of things while I'm doing my art, while I'm, starting a business on the side with my partner, while I'm doing this with Andre, because these are all things that I'm passionate about. So where were you with that, Andre? Because your second year of college, what were you doing?
I mean, yeah, I went into the IT field, so I got my diploma and wanted to actually get my degree, and then sort of realizing that like A, it's going to cost a lot more money, and B, also realizing that school is definitely a good place to learn, but it's not the only place to learn, especially to be an artist. Like you don't need to go to school to be an artist to go to school to be in IT, yeah, maybe, but that's basically you also going online and teaching yourself. That's basically what you're doing at school, right? You're paying somebody that, as Joe said, might not be the best person to teach it. They might know some about it, but not
And I
realizing
think it's
that.
accountability. I think that's why some people do it. That's why they pay, is because then they're accountable because they put money into it.
Very true. And maybe their parents are harassing them too, saying that, hey, if you don't go to
True.
school,
Pressure.
yeah, exactly, right? That pressure from a lot of different people. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that universities and colleges are also businesses, right? They make money from teaching people, selling books, and doing a lot of other services, if you may call it. That's basically what schools are. And you have to sort of like ask yourself, do you need school to further yourself in life? Or could you just potentially do an online course or even teach yourself? Just like Joe, right? If you're in the entertainment or art field, learning on how to write a poem, yeah, you can take a course in, let's say, English or literature. But do you really need somebody to tell you on what kind of poem to write versus you just going out and doing it? But
So, and that was kind of your third year that you figured that out?
yeah, I still graduated, which was good because now I have something to fall back on while I still do my projects that I like to do, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people have rent to pay. Not living with my parents was one of the best decisions. No offense, I love my parents, but having a freedom, having a car, having that money to do whatever you want is also nice. So having that 9 to 5 at this point is nice, but that's not stopping me on doing my side hustle, my side things that I am up and getting up and running.
So, in your past, there's obviously things that you aren't proud of, obviously things that you wish you didn't go through, but ultimately it's helped kind of create you as you are now. Maybe you wouldn't be as determined or, as into the projects that we're into. But what you guys need to realize is that you're going to go through a ton of things, and it's just how you perceive it and how you decide to go through it. Like Andre and I have been through a lot together, and we've been through a lot externally. And it's actually just incredible that it was just out of the blue that we had actually come together, and we were both at different stages in our lives that we had said, like, I want to start distancing myself from these people who aren't benefiting me and start spending more time with me so I can figure out who I am and be proud of myself and the decisions that I made and where I've put myself in this particular moment in time. And we came together and we talked for, like, again, I'm going to tell you guys this a million times because it is so important. We tried for over a month to start a podcast and we couldn't do it. Like nothing would happen. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, well, we need to do this. Oh, it needs to be perfect. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And like now that we're doing it, it's one of the best things that we could have ever done. And I made a list a couple of years ago of things that I wanted to accomplish. And one of the things in the year 2019 that I needed to accomplish was I needed to create something big with my friends. So I created a massive sculpture with one of our good buddies, Bradley. He's crazy, just to let you guys know. He's not crazy in a bad way. Like he's batshit crazy in a good way. Like you wouldn't fuck with him. He's one of our good buddies, but we fuck with him. But but also, that being said, Andre and I are creating this podcast that has just blown up. Like it's huge. We never would have expected that people outside of our social circle would be listening to this and finding inspiration in our content.
That's very true, man. I mean, people are starting to listen outside of our friends, and all of our friends are not motivational at all, which is, the ironic thing. That's one of the, best things that ever happened to me is moving out of Prince George. No offense to anyone that lives in Prince George or, to the friends that we have or had in the past, but realizing that there is not much for me in Prince George. And since then, moving to Victoria, down south, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Finding a pretty good 9 to 5 job that allows me to live comfortably while still doing my own things is, just grateful, right? So, and then starting this podcast with Joe, even though it took me a while to get around to it, but that's again, I mean, that's basically what this whole episode's about, not being ashamed of who you are, you guys. Everyone has mistakes, everyone fails. Sometimes it'll take you a lot longer to realize things. It might take you a month, it might take you 5 years, you know what I mean? But just be proud that you actually realize it, and also realize that you still have a lot of time ahead of you. Nothing's too late, you know what I mean? Even if you're 60 years old, you can start something. When you're 14 years old, we see it all the time. I was just talking to Joe about this guy that's now, I guess, 17, and he made, how much was it, like 27 million in crypto in Bitcoin when Bitcoin blew up a few years ago. And since
Oh
then,
my gosh, yeah.
right? I mean, he's now 17 years old and he's a millionaire. He will never have to work in his day, like one day in his life. But what's he doing? He just invented a apparatus for this kid that wanted to be Dr. Octopus. If you guys don't know, Spider-Man, the Marvel universe, he's fighting this villain that's basically has these metal tentacles that, help him climb buildings and stuff. So he went ahead and created these arms for this poor kid that had a condition that a muscle condition that he was not able to fight on his own. So just seeing that kid light up, but spending a few $1,000,000, like, I mean, that's the best way to spend your money when you do achieve it. And that's something that I would love to do as well, giving back when I am in that position, taking care of my parents like they took care of me, like all my life, right? Being grateful and just being proud of who I am at the end of the day.
And where you come from, right? Like you said, taking care of your parents. Like I think it's incredible that, like, what my parents were given when they decided to have me. It was kind of a surprise. They didn't really decide. It was just thrown upon them. And then they had just said to, like, each other, I want to give this kid more than I had. And then that's exactly what they do. And then I kind of look at it as though, like, well, I want to give my parents more than they ever could have dreamed of. Like whether it's, having a kid that they're really excited about to share and to promote, like look at what my kids are doing. They're just great kids. They feel like a good parent. So being proud where you came from, being proud of where you want to go, and being proud of your current circumstances, or being, happy with your current circumstances is really important in terms of your guys' success, like on a daily fucking basis. um, One of the hardest things for, like, Andre, I'm so sorry to throw you under the bus, but it's such a great example. When we started doing the podcast, every time after the first couple podcasts, Andre would tell me, "Dude, I hate listening to myself." He's like, "Dude, I hate talking. I'm so scared. I'm so like uncomfortable." And I was like, "Well, why?" Because you're you, dude, and nobody is going to create the content that you're saying except for you, and nobody's going to sound like that, and nobody's going to show that emotion, and nobody's going to feel like that except for you. So start being comfortable in the skin that you guys are in.
Honestly. And I've talked to a lot of people that are the exact same way as me. And, just doing a few podcasts and, getting into it, I am a lot more comfortable talking on the microphone or on the camera. Do you know what I mean? That's basically it, right? Like just repeating the same process that you're not comfortable with. You'd surprise yourself what you are capable of and what you can do. Joseph mentioned your parents and what they have gone through, what types of things they sacrifice. I mean, Joseph's parents didn't no offense, like not to take this the wrong way, Joe, but they might have not even want to have you, right? It was more of an accident. But at the end of the day, that was the
It's
best thing
true.
that could
It's
ever
true. It
happen
was
to
probably
them.
scary.
You know what I mean? And nobody really shows a lot of credit to your parents, right? What they went through, what kind of sacrifices they went through to give you the life that you have now. And there's nothing worse than seeing people that are ungrateful with their lives. I mean, it could be so much worse. Living in Canada is just a privilege. I live in Victoria. It's one of
Oh,
the
absolutely.
most beautiful places. Like Joe right now is in Mexico. He's traveling for a year because he can. He doesn't have a 9 to 5 job. It doesn't because he has millions of dollars from his parents, or he has savings that he was able to save up because A, he was smart with his money, and B, he is actually producing content. He is paving his way for his own success, and that allows him to go and travel for a year you
Well,
know
and that's the thing, you guys, is it's like you need to do it. Like Andre said, I don't have millions of dollars. I don't have a ton of money. I don't have all these things lined up. So it's like instant success or instant gratification. Nobody knows who I am, but I'm comfortable with making posts that I feel like resonate with me. I'm comfortable with expressing myself on a daily basis. If you guys follow Andre and I's Instagram page, I think I posted the other day on our story that there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that you're going to be born. So just be grateful that you even have this opportunity in the first place. And I think I only posted that because I got a shitty haircut. I was super upset and I was so mad with the haircut after that I went and shaved my fucking head
Yeah.
because that's not me. Like the haircut was so bad and I was like, that's just not me. So you know what? Hair grows back and I'm upset because I really wanted to show my indigenous roots and grow my hair out and braid it, but I had to shave it off. It'll grow back. But
Well,
that's part of being proud of who you are.
exactly. I mean, showing off that bald head of yours, there's nothing to be ashamed of. As Joe said, hair grows back. Oh well, it was a funny story to tell, and that also just ties in on your parents might have not had the tools that you have right now. They went through, you have to realize, they went through an industrial age. The internet wasn't around when they were young. They had TVs, they had phones, they had to pick up physically, go to other people's houses and show up. You know what I mean? There was no creating your e-commerce business for $30 a month. You know what I mean? There was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. None of that was available to them. We live in the golden age, you guys. There's so many tools around us. Like, I mean, our phone is basically our organizer. Like, I saw this guy on YouTube created a drop shipping store from his phone. That's all he was using in 24 hours. Like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? So what's holding us back? Like, why is there so many people that are just unsuccessful? Like, not really unsuccessful, that's a bad word to use, but not where they
They,
want to be in life.
yeah, they're neglecting to start. And I feel like we talked about, it's because they're afraid to be who they are and show the world who they are and be proud of it or be accepting of it because they're scared of, negative feedback or negative repercussions. Oh my God, people are going to see me and I don't have $1 million. Oh my God, people are going to see me and I'm not wearing Nike. Well, guess what? I can't fucking afford it, to be honest. Like if Nike made it accessible to everybody, that would be phenomenal because then you would not only get quality, but you get the quantity. But what can you do? They've worked up to that position. And do you guys think like when, Nikkei started that they had this incredible brand that was so well known and they could sell the products for what they have? Not at all. They started just like me and you and Andre with nothing except for being proud of the product that they had created. And you are your own product.
Exactly, and achieving this huge success. I mean, don't be afraid to do what you guys are passionate about, but also realize that, Nike, Microsoft, all these big guys like Michael Jordan, these guys in their own field, whether it is, sales, whether it is business, motivation, or athletes, they took years and years and years to achieve their craft and to get to a point where you see them as now, where you see them on TV, and not realizing that these guys went through a shit ton of sacrifices. Like Novak Djokovic, he's one of my favorite tennis players. His parents went in debt about 250 grand to move from the from Eastern Europe over to North America to actually get him the life because they believed in him so much that they took on this huge risk. I mean, they were not even middle class. There's no way they would have paid for 250 grand in their lifetime. So they basically had debt up until their very end moment of their life. But it's because they believed in their son and they did the sacrifice for him. And look at him now. That doesn't mean that he was a pro tennis player as soon as he came to North America. Everyone laughed at him when he was playing tennis for years and years. He was a skinny guy. He's funny now, but you wouldn't see him, you wouldn't recognize him 10, 15 years ago when he was actually developing his craft, right?
And he's proud of who he is, right? And that's what created the final product. So if we can leave you guys with like one little inkling before we go, it would definitely be to just, like sit down, look in the mirror, kind of what we talked about in our previous episode, personal perspective, and really just find your identity and be proud of who you are. And if you're not who you are, you can slowly change and work up to that. But be proud of what you have to offer for tomorrow.
Exactly, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to change yourself, putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations, in that uncomfortable mindset, whatever it is, talking in front of a crowd, which is still something I'm terrified at, but something that I'm getting slowly over. And please, guys, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're uncomfortable with. Let us know your story. We would love to hear where you guys came from and what you guys are at now, what you want. You know what I mean? We would love to hear that. So don't be ashamed and take the time to drop a comment.
Thanks, guys, for coming back. And till next time, ciao.